What's up, dudes? Wade Universe here, your man today, geeky and nerdy, and welcome to a new episode. And today we're talking about Black Lightning. I need to explain something before we get into the actual episode. I did not originally plan this as an episode, but because I already talked about episode 2 and episode 1, I felt like I needed to keep this as a weekly series. I even told myself to keep it as a weekly series, and then when I was planning out my episode, when I was writing more down, like some more ideas that I can do for episodes, turns out I did not plan the episode 3 review for today that you're watching this. So I'm pre-recording this early. So yay! Also, this is the 2019 Black Lightning series. I know people probably are saying that I can do a whole series, the whole season review. I don't want to do that. So we're just gonna go with episode 3, which is called Rwanda, the Book of Burial. So if nobody has seen Black Lightning from this point on, I'm just gonna mention this really quick. Spoilers. So in case that you're not into spoilers and you want nothing to do with them, I would click out of the video now and go and watch something else. So this episode of Black Lightning actually starts out very different compared to the other episodes. It starts out with a piece at a church as well as a junkyard. Now the church, you have the pastor there, and the pastor's going on his little speech that he wants peace amongst the people, for what happened, especially to Rwanda. He wants basically the people, I don't want this to come out racist, but he wants the black people to basically live in peace and not fear of the other people around them, basically Tobias and the other and the other criminals out there. And really, Tobias, you're going with that as a freaking thing? The only thing that I can think of is freaking Toby Turner. I don't think that dude is exactly quite terrifying, exactly. But yeah, he's like, fear the name Tobias! Stop laughing at me! So I can just imagine that. But he is actually a very frightening criminal. I gotta, again, credit the actor for playing Tobias. He does a really great job in this, especially, but more on that later. So, the pastor's going on his little peaceful thing like, we should be together, the world needs to unite, brother and sister, holy love, and everything. It almost sounded like one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches. I don't know if they took inspiration from that, from Dr. King. I have no idea, but it did sound a lot like it, which made me really respect it a lot more. In the junkyard, we have Anissa, who is training, but there's a good reason why. She's trying to understand and adapt fully to her powers. So, of course, she's trying to, go to their boxing and whatnot, done to do the thing that she needs to do. And she doesn't at first understand her powers. She's kicking things, she's beating up old things, she's trying to figure out, where do my powers initially come from? And that's when she realizes it also has to do with her breathing, which I think is something that's very, cool. And when she actually ends up hitting and breaking an old washer, like the front of an old washer, she realizes that it's her breathing. So when she contracts her breathing and whatnot, she punches an entire wall of junk, and when her fist hit the wall, it sounded like thunder. And I'm like, I see what you did there. I'm catching on to you. And also, she proved to be invulnerable because when she got hit by a piece of debris, it hit her back hard, but she didn't feel no pain. So I'm kind of trying to understand what Thunder's powers are. I know that Lightning kind of has the same powers as Black Lightning, but I'm trying to adapt where Thunder's powers comes into this. So Jefferson's worried about how this protest is gonna go, so he ends up kind of planning what's going to happen. But before that, you have the pastor and one of the police officers, the one that almost arrested Black Lightning in episode 2. You have him coming into play in this, and he's going with the pastor, and he goes, do you really think that your peaceful protest is going to do anything? You're just going to march out there into the world, and expect the 100 to welcome you with open arms. And the pastor's like, well, I put my faith in God. I put my faith in a cross. And, he's trying to basically kind of keep it within his element of, being a pastor, his faith in God, his faith in religion. And the police officer is kind of mocking him and his beliefs, and he almost goes after the pastor um, if not for Jefferson, putting his hand between them like, hey, we don't need a fight. This is God's house. We don't fight in God's house, is what he was trying to tell them. So he planned with Gamby on what they should do about the march. But Gamby said that they should focus on a new piece of technology that he was inventing for Jefferson, which would contract down his lightning. So when he shoots the lightning, it's not in a big burst; it's like in a little tiny stream, which would kind of probably help Jefferson contain his lightning instead of just like going with the Ryu Ken Hadouken kind of move in this. So he's trying to keep it like in a well-respected garb and everything. So when he's doing this, what's the weird part is that Gamby had sort of like a simulation, almost like Batman did, in like Batman: The Brave and the Bold, where he was trying to shoot down a guy with a gun, but he was accidentally hitting innocent people. Maybe his powers are being like out of control like they were before. Maybe that it's something different that's happening. I don't really know, but I'm trying to understand it. So, after Anissa trains and whatnot, she ends up going to the library, and on her cell phone, she recorded herself, with her powers and whatnot, and she had a smile on her face, maybe fully incorporating that, hey, I have powers, now I can make a difference in the world. But she meets a woman there by the name of Grace, and Grace is a different woman that comes into her life, and the funny thing is, they really show that like I'm in love with you kind of vibe there, because when she's around her, she's like having this like big grin on her face, almost kind of like blushing. She has like those loving eyes, so to speak. But when Grace is like probably she works at the library, she's putting up books. She sets out her booty, but she's not really checking out the booty. She's checking out the comic book in the back of her pocket, which is a reference and an Easter egg to The Outsiders. Referencing where Jefferson first started, his first team that he was acquired of. I would love to see The Outsiders like come back, like Geoforce, Katana, and a bunch of the other members, Metamorpho, coming into the play here, because that would be an awesome Easter egg. I don't think that we're ever going to get it. But Grace is not upset that she was checking out the bouquet. Basically, I would think that this would also mean that, unlike Anissa, Grace is also a lesbian as well. So to kind of show off that, like, hey, they're kind of in the same class as each other. So at home, Jennifer is talking to Khalil about what they're going to do. And they're trying to plan, to be blunt here, they plan that they're going to have sex. They try to plan a romantic day and evening when they will have it officially. And then old good buddy boy Khalil admits something to his beautiful girlfriend Jennifer. I'm still a virgin. I was like, oh, usually women don't like that phrase being told out to them, because usually, it's kind of like that no zone kind of deal thing. But in honesty, Jennifer thought that it was attractive, and so she would go with it. Basically, that it would be their very first time, feel just like their very first time. So anyhow, she decides, I'm going to tell mom and dad what's going on. Now, originally she wanted to tell her sister was not there. I will explain where she was later. But she comes down and their family's having their dinner time. Basically, it would be like a family time kind of deal thing. For a lot of families, it is. And especially since her mom and dad are divorced, it really makes the sense that, this is kind of their time so they can connect with themselves as well as connect with the kids. And so it's all silent for a moment. Jennifer does some like weird talk to them, and they're like, what is this coming out of a child's mouth? What are these words? And then she goes to them, she goes, Mom, Dad, I've decided I'm old enough to try sex. And Jefferson goes, from drinking his wine. I'm like, you brought up the really, really interesting subject for your parents. I'm hoping that it does well for you. And it makes a very awkward dinner conversation. Her parent do give her, the good parental advice that if you do it, use protection. Not only that, but also as if you're gonna do it with someone that you trust, do it with someone that you love, all those things. And especially for any of the younger audiences out there that do feel like doing so, I would take that word to truth. Don't be me. Don't make my mistake. Do it with someone that you love and that you trust, and that that they won't betray you afterwards. Don't make my mistake. Again, that's a story for another day. Anyhow, that excuse me. So where was Anissa during this whole entire thing? Well, Anissa was at basically, I think, a lesbian dance club, or just a dance club, but mostly the entire occupants there on the camera were all women, so I'm gonna guess it's like a female dance club. And I'm looking the dance beat, everybody dancing, everybody's having a good time. What's funny about this is that there are people wearing costumes in this, which is pretty cool. It's something that's in the DC universe. Like, we can wear costumes and not have superpowers. So Anissa was like the old 60s African American actress for Catwoman for a short time. I don't remember her name though. Julie Newmar, that's the only one that I really know. But there was a 60s black. She was like the 60s black Catwoman and everything. Almost wearing the exact same outfit that she did, and she's wearing like the sparkled cat ears on her head. And then Grace was like one of the other, was like one of the outsiders, and I'm trying to remember which one it was. And she had like a rainbow colored cape. She had a diamond like sitting like here on her chest. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that she was called Prism. I think. Again, I think. Sorry about that, my computer cracked out. But I do believe that that is her actual name, that she is called Prism. She has the little... So my computer was crapping out, I'm sorry about that. But she did look like Prism from the outside, I believe that what her name was. So anyway, they kind of have a connection going on with each other. They're dancing with one another. Again, trying to have a good time and everything. And then her other girlfriend named Koya, something that begins with the C, walks in and... Oh, but you look like an Instagram hoe because you're wearing spandex and you're in here with these other people that are wearing spandex. I'm like, have you watched Police Academy and saw the... Like at all? In any retrospect, I'm gonna guess not, but that's okay anyhow. And anyways, so Gambit and Black Lightning are trying to make a plan. By the way, I'm not redoing this video, so even though my computer keeps crapping out, I'm not redoing the video. So anyways, end up making a plan about how they're going to protect the march from everything that's going down. Meanwhile, with Tobias, he ends up hiring, that's probably a member of the church and whatnot, and he ends up stabbing him through the hand because he would almost not wanting to take the gun and go to the church meeting because he's afraid of killing people out there. And Tobias calls him basically an idiot. He calls him out for doing so, but they end up going there anyways, and it's a peaceful protest that ends up, happening for the beginning of this. Lightning and everybody are there. They just keep saying freedom, 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 basically as a reminiscence, I believe, toward the black. But not only that, they Lightning on top of the rooftop. Ex-wife and daughter are part of this movement, so he fears for their life. Notices the gunman coming in, leaps off the building, and just rushes into action, making an electric shield in front of them. And to show the respect to him, the church members start singing the song Amazing Grace to him, and basically in respect. Tobias shows up with his little henchwoman. They are not happy about this. It's Food and Tobias making some racial references, especially the N-word and a bunch of other things, and he tells his henchwoman to shoot people. She does so. She ends up shooting the pastor, I think his last name is Heineman, and she ends up shooting Khalil. The pastor manages to survive, somehow manages Jefferson's wife, I believe, who is a doctor. And then Khalil ends up basically not necessarily surviving in a sense because he loses his ability to walk. But there's a new enemy I wanted to talk about during this named Lady Eve or Miss Eve. She is definitely not the type of female villainy that you would have. I mean, the actress that plays her does an amazing. Like everything about her just beats villainous. The way that she dresses, the way that she talks, the way that she uses words and whatnot. Very very villainous woman that she is in this. And I hope to see more of her in the future because even Tobias is scared of her and puts towards his henchwoman. So everybody is fearing for themselves, but they end up coming together towards the end of this as a family. But then we learn that Gamby might be a henchman for Tobias because when he ends up getting video footage from like a security camera or whatever, and they see like who is behind it, he instead of because at first he had blurred out Tobias, he ends up deleting the file afterwards, and I'm like, oh, this could mean that he is basically not the best person for this. Um, so what probably will happen in episode 4 called Black Jesus? I have respectively no idea. I hope to see lightning, thunder be played in this. I hope that Jennifer at some point like becomes lightning. I hope that we get to see that actually happening pretty soon. And I also hope that Lynn and Jefferson end up becoming a couple. I don't know if that will happen. And respectively, we'll see how much more of an enemy that Tobias can become to everybody. And more Lady Eve. Lady Eve is definitely worth watching and checking out. Again, the way that she dresses and talks, she just speaks villainy. But she's kind of like that casual villain that just has everything done for her. And even Tobias would not dare to say anything regretful in front of her. So maybe there's more to play in here. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what you think about Black Lightning Episode 3. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Or do you think we're in the middle? Let me know. So anyway, this is Lady Universe saying, remember, there might always be some random gunman at a church protest. Or somebody dressed up like a cybernetic Iron Man, but with lightning decals. Seriously, he kind of looks like Iron Man. Black Lightning outfit does just a little bit. But I like it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.